try not to think about a pink elephant. It probably won't work. Once a pink elephant appears in your head, it's impossible to get rid of it by consciously trying not to think about it. And the more you try to push it away, the more persistent it becomes. This elephant metaphor is often used to show how difficult it is to forcefully get rid of obsessive thoughts. But it can also be used as a metaphor for how we deal with dissatisfaction with life. In this case, the pink elephant is our general dissatisfaction, which manifests itself in the form of negative emotions, sadness, stress, anger, or boredom. The paradox is that the more we try to be less dissatisfied, the stronger this dissatisfaction becomes. Could it be that our desire to get rid of dissatisfaction, the desire to be happy, to be content, this is the reason why we don't become so? Here we encounter the paradox of willpower, which is the basics of the law of reverse effort, or as philosopher Alan Watts called it, the reverse law. The reverse law states that the more we chase something, the more we get the opposite of what we really want, and the more disappointed we become. Simply put, the harder you try, the less likely you are to succeed. Conversely, when you stop trying, you get what you want. If we want to stop thinking about a pink elephant, then is the case giving up the fight and allowing our desire to get rid of it. To dry up is a paradoxical solution. Instead of forcibly driving the elephant out of our thoughts, we let it disallow on its own, leaving it alone. But how exactly does this reverse law work in practice? Or more specifically, how to get what we want without trying to get it? In this video, we will analyze the reverse law and its paradoxical nature, as well as the reasons for our constant dissatisfaction with life and how to free ourselves from it. How can you get what you want without striving for it? It seems impossible and absurd, especially in a world where we are used to achieving goals through effort. Willpower is a working tool for achieving external goals. For example, if we want to get rich in a monetary sense, we will most likely need to make an effort to earn the amount that will make us rich. Or if we dream of running a marathon, we need to train our endurance to overcome such a distance, but the inverse law is not so much about worldly achievements. It rather surpasses them. It is about what we really truly want. This is the shortest path to the Holy Grail. What we are all chasing the real treasure. But what is the wealth, love, friendship, long and a healthy life? Although these things are nice, they are cheap imitation of the real thing. They are what we think will lead us to what we are looking for. They are what we think will lead us to what we are looking for. But as the inverse law shows, the more we chase them, the less we find. The more we strive for external circumstances, the farther we move away from what we really want. So what do we want? Happiness? And if so, what is happiness? Is it something we find through love or material things? According to Alan Watts, we don't know what we really want because we can't define it. I quote, "Why don't know what you want? 2 reasons. 1. You already have it. 2. You don't know yourself because you never can. The divine never knows itself, just as a knife does not cut itself, fire does not burn itself, light does not illuminate itself. Could it be that what we seek is hidden by our very search, that we are seeking something we cannot define? But if so, why do we continue to seek? The human dilemma is a collective delusion that makes us think that external things or changes in circumstances, from objects and money to a better body or a change of scenery, will free us from the feeling of lack. The converse law shows that the opposite is true. We feel lack because we are dissatisfied with our current circumstances. The more dissatisfied we are, the more we suffer. The more changes we need to make to be satisfied, the less satisfied we become. Imagine that you set a goal to become a millionaire, believing that this will make you happy. Not only does such a goal require a huge amount of effort to achieve, but it also means that being so far from it makes you feel miserable, aware of how far you are from being who you want to be. Or as best-selling author Mark Manson put it, striving for something only highlights how much you lack. The more desperately you want to be rich, the poorer and more unworthy you feel, no matter how much money you have. If you increase the amount of money you need to be happy, the feeling of lack increases, and you become even more miserable. But if you lower the bar significantly, the feeling of lack decreases, because the goal becomes closer to where you are. Yet, we still set lofty goals, often far beyond where we are, and because of this, the feeling of lack becomes deep and persistent. The human tendency to endlessly pursue more, like a cure for an itch, while simultaneously feeding that itch with the desire itself, seems illogical. And it's exactly what a German philosopher, Arthur Schopenhauer, believed. He argued that we want what we want because, like everything else in the universe, we are manifestations of the will to live, or simply will. Schopenhauer believed that the will is an irrational, aimless, endless drive that keeps us living in suffering, and nothing in the world can stop it. Because of this, we pathologically want more than we need, driven by a constant feeling of lack. The mind feels lack because it believes that the present moment is incomplete, that something is missing but is does not know what, and we run away from what is there in situations that seem more pleasant to us. But once we get there, we end up in the same dissatisfied state from which we tried to escape. Schopenhauer said, and I quote, "Every acute pleasure is a mistake, and an illusion, for no desire achieved gives lasting satisfaction." According to Schopenhauer, the will is the cause of our striving, the reason for our search, but following it never satisfies, because the will itself is what keeps us from what we want. Schopenhauer argued that the only path to true satisfaction is the denial of the will, leading to a blissful, empty state, free of striving. In other words, stop trying to get it, and you will have it. He does not hoard, therefore he has abundance. He looks lonely, but is surrounded by many. In his actions, he is calm and unhurried. He wastes nothing. He does nothing and laughs at the clever and inventive. Everyone seeks happiness, but he feels complete in his imperfection. End of quote. Accept imperfection and you will feel perfect. Accept loneliness and you will be content in solitude. Strive for perfection and you are imperfect. Try not to be lonely and are unhappy alone. Accepting negative experience is a positive experience, but struggling with negative experience means you suffer doubly. When you try to stay afloat, you drown, but when you try to drown, you float, said Alan Watts. Similarly, when you try to sleep, your efforts keep you awake. Only when you stop trying do you fall asleep. When you hold your breath, you lose it, but when you let go, it continues on its own. When we stop chasing happiness, only then are we able to achieve it, because we don't need anything more than what we have. When we stop chasing wealth, we live in abundance because we are happy with that we have, and everything else is a bonus. The only way to get what we want is not to want it. This is what the inverse law teaches us. There is a Zen story that illustrates this paradoxical idea with the example of how to clean muddy water. Imagine a pond with muddy water, and we want to see the bottom. We can stir the water or try to remove the muddy water with our hands, but it will not work. The only way to see the bottom is to do nothing until the muddy water settles and becomes clear. The muddy water symbolizes our desires, thoughts, dissatisfaction. Stirring the water and trying to clear away the mud is our pursuit of happiness. Seeing the bottom is the contentment that comes only when we leave the water alone and let the mood settle. So stop trying to get it, and you will have it. Understanding the inverse law does not mean that we should never set goals, have ambitions, or not strive for change. There are probably an infinite number of reasons why we should change and not accept the status quo. However, the inverse law teaches us not to delude ourselves into thinking that pursuing happiness will lead to happiness. It is the other way around. And with this knowledge, we can enter that blissful state of not wanting more often. Because as Alan Watts said, the secret of life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. I think we'll finish here. Until next time, friends.